Good afternoon. My name is Brad Smith. I am the Director of SEO and Social Media here at Haley Marketing Group. And today I have the privilege of talking with you about understanding marketing analytics. And hopefully you all are as excited about data as I am. I'm kind of a data nerd. I live in this and breathe this each and every day. So what we're going to be talking about today is how you can use marketing analytics and data to make more effective marketing decisions for your business. And specifically, I'm going to highlight some questions and concerns that I get day in and day out from our clients, from staffing and recruiting companies all across the country. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about marketing analytics and really what marketing analytics is. We're going to look at why specifically a staffing firm should care. Okay, this presentation is all tailored to staffing and recruiting topics. So hopefully you'll get some really nice takeaways for your business. We'll look at different tools and platforms available, and we'll focus on the ones that we use here at Haley Marketing Group and ones that are freely available to everyone on this call. We'll outline what metrics are most important. So as you're running your business, as you're recruiting, as you're selling, what metrics are really good indicators for how you're performing? We'll identify those. And then we'll look at ways that you can use those metrics and that information, again, to make better decisions for your company. We'll outline some things that you should do right away and some things that you should do next and plan for. And then we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. But with that said, you don't have to wait until the end of the presentation to ask questions. Please feel free to use the questions panel in the right-hand column. Ask questions throughout the presentation. If we can, we'll address them right then and there. If not, we'll wait till the end. And then down in the left-hand corner, you can also see that we have a hashtag Lunch with Haley. Our full social media and SEO team is manning Twitter. And if you do have a question and want to engage on Twitter, please feel free to ask that. Tag us at Haley Marketing, use the hashtag Lunch with Haley, and ask away, and we'll try to get you an answer to those questions right away. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about what marketing analytics is. And it's really the practice of measuring, managing, and analyzing marketing performance to maximize effectiveness and optimize return on investment. What does that really mean? Well, we're going to look at ways that you can make sure that your sales and marketing efforts are aligned. We're going to look at ways to make sure that your recruiting efforts are really adding value to your company. We'll look for ways that you can identify recruiting platforms that maybe aren't performing as well as they used to, and also give you some information about how to look at recruiting platforms and success and really determine where you're going to invest those dollars moving forward. And throughout the presentation, hopefully we'll share some great tips that are just going to make you better at your job and more successful at your job and make you more money. So we can use this information so that we can work smarter instead of harder, so that we can market smarter instead of spending more money churning on marketing efforts that maybe aren't producing the return on investment that they should. So why should a staffing and recruiting company really care? Well, number one, and it's on the mind of many business owners out there, is cost. Okay, costs are increasing. Margins are declining. We all know this. It keeps us up at night. What are we going to do to drive more profit if our costs are going up and our margins are decreasing? And this is a perfect example here. I pulled this quote from an American Staffing Association Central discussion. And it's a pretty heated discussion. And it started off something like this. Last year, we saw a 75% increase in our job board rate. And they mentioned a specific job board. I've deleted it here. But this year, their quote included a 100% price increase. Now think about this. What if you went to your clients and you said, hey, you know what? I know our markup was X last year, but we're going to double it this year. And then the following year, you're going to double it again. Are they going to be your client for much longer? Nope, they're going to leave, right? But as a staffing company, you're being hit with these increased recruitment costs. You can't pass that on to your clients. So what happens? You either need to recruit smarter, you need to recruit more effectively, or you need to cut that spend. Okay, so later in this presentation, we'll identify some key metrics that you can look at to make sure that your recruitment spend is really driving the ROI that it should. which leads us right here into ROI, return on investment. So we're going to look at metrics and platforms that you can use to see which marketing and sales efforts really drove true business results and which ones didn't. Which ones can we eliminate moving forward? Which ones can we trim from our recruitment spend or move recruitment or overall marketing dollars elsewhere so that we can get even better performance? Okay. You know, overall, I've talked with a lot of staffing companies, and I can tell you from experience, not many people know exactly which resume database or which job board database is driving the most impact for them. And it seems crazy to me because if you look at your marketing budget, that's probably one of the biggest line items on your marketing budget is your access to resume databases or your access to job seats. And if you're not effectively tracking that, you could be throwing thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars right out the window that would otherwise fall to your bottom line. Why else should you care? Well, competition. You're dealing with large nationals, you're dealing with technology platforms, you're dealing with VMS, low margin players, offshore. One of your biggest competitors is non-users. So what are you doing to educate the market on how to strategically and effectively use staffing services to solve their business problems? Are you getting new people over to your website that haven't been there before? Are you educating non-users of your service about what your key differentiator is? We'll look at how to find whether or not you're driving new users to your website through Google Analytics. Number 4, benchmarking. So how are you going to determine whether or not your efforts are successful? How are you going to plan your marketing strategy for the following year if you don't know what the heck results you got this year? Okay, we'll walk through benchmarking and comparing different date ranges. And last but not least, strategy. Again, what marketing and sales tools are you using right now that are driving ROI? Which ones are underperforming? And how can we use that data to strengthen our strategy moving forward into next year? How can we make the jobs of our recruiters easier? What tools can we give them to be more successful? We're going to look at identifying all of those. All right, so let's get into the meat of things. And we're going to look at different analytics platforms. And candidly, there's no shortage of platforms. This slide could have had 100 or 1,000 different logos up here. But what I'm going to work through are website analytics, and there's 2 platforms that are pretty popular, Google Analytics and HubSpot. If your website is built on HubSpot, there's some great analytics in HubSpot, but if it's not, there's amazing analytics on Google Analytics. It's free to use. You have to have your programmer install it, but it's what we use here internally here at Haley Marketing Group to gauge effectiveness. And most of the examples here are going to be from Google Analytics. We'll look at social platforms. So the top social platforms all have their own analytics. We're going to focus specifically on Facebook Insights and Twitter Analytics because I think you're going to glean a lot of great information you can use from these 2 platforms. On the search engine side, we're going to look at 2 platforms that we use here. One is Google Search Console. Again, this is free to use from Google. It does have to be installed on your site, and it can connect with Google Analytics. But we're going to look at key things that you could look for in Google's Search Console to identify how you're performing from a search engine standpoint and really guide your SEO efforts moving forward so that you improve in rank, you drive more targeted traffic to your site, you're ranking for a broader array of different terms, and have more value there. And then there's a few areas that I'm going to point out that we use a tool called SEM Rush for. Now this is a paid tool. They have a freemium version that you can take a look at too, but we'll identify some really key things that we use SEM Rush for when crafting a more effective SEO strategy. And if you're doing SEO on your own or you're working with another company, there's some unique analytics that you can look at in there to really drive more results. And then we'll wrap it up with looking at some paid analytics. So if you're running any type of Google paid campaigns on AdWords, or you're using Facebook boosted posts or ads or recruiting on Facebook, we'll look at some metrics that you should be paying attention to make sure that you're driving the best possible results. All right, so with all that said, there's hundreds of different platforms, there's thousands of different metrics we can look at. Where should we really focus? And in this presentation, and where I suggest you focus after this call, is looking at the low-hanging fruit. Okay, so what things can we adjust without changing our whole marketing philosophy or our sales philosophy or our entire website or online marketing presence, but what are the things that we can look at that are relatively easy, simple changes that can really have a big impact on our bottom line? And when putting this presentation together over the last month or two, I've just been jotting down all the questions that we get from our clients. So we work with over 1,000 staffing companies all across North America and the world, really. And I've been jotting these questions down. And a lot of the slides in this presentation are going to be answers to many of those questions. So we're going to start off by looking at website reporting and using Google Analytics to make better decisions. And what we're looking at here is when you log into analytics, they're going to, by default, show you the past week or the past month of traffic. And I bring this up because I don't want you to get stuck in just looking at a limited set of data. Up in the top right corner, you can change your date range to whatever you'd like. You can use the little compare tool. I'm going to highlight it right here. The compare tool, to look at the previous period. So I can compare traffic from this month compared to last month. I can look at traffic year over year. And that's one way that I really like to analyze things is looking year over year. And why do I suggest doing that? Well, as you know, staffing can sometimes be a seasonal business. It can fluctuate. You can have peaks and valleys related to what season you're in. Maybe if you do a lot of retail staffing, come September, October, November, you see that traffic go way up. Okay? If we're just looking at week to week or the previous month, you might see a huge increase or a huge decrease in traffic and think you're doing either horribly or bad. But instead of doing that, look at the previous year. Okay, compare those statistics year over year to take into account that seasonal fluctuation. Now, once you do that, what things are you going to look at? Well, I want you to look at location. Okay, so in Google Analytics, there's audience and then location. You can take a look and see what areas of the nation, areas of your market are driving the most impact. And why is this important? Well, if you have many different locations or you have offices across the country, you want to take a close look at this and see who's performing better than other markets. And if you look at this example, we see that there's been some declines here in some markets. But in this particular case, Fresno is up 23%. Well, why are they up 23%? Okay, is their sales team just out there killing it? Maybe they did a press release that got distributed. Maybe they're doing great in search engine optimization and they're getting a lot of traffic. Maybe they've done a trade show or they're doing some radio or television spots that are driving that traffic. You want to dig deeper into this to see what's successful in that market. Let's see what we can do moving forward to have those similar results in other markets. You want to pay attention here. Let's say you have a regional office or just a local office. You want to take a look here and make sure that you're getting traffic from the areas of your city, town, region that are maybe most densely populated by businesses or densely populated by the type of candidates that you want to recruit. And if they're not, you can look at this and make decisions on search engine optimization or content marketing moving forward, or maybe your job postings to really see where you need to drive more of that traffic. So very valuable tool here to look at location. The other thing that you want to be on the lookout for is if you're getting traffic from other places in the world. Okay, let's say you're a local or a regional staffing company and you find that 60% of your website traffic is coming from India. If you don't look at these locations, you might get lulled into a false sense of security that you're doing great. Your numbers keep climbing, you see this huge increase in traffic, we're doing great, right? Well, if you come in here and all that traffic is coming from not your market, it's going to add no business value to your company. So very important to take a look at. Next, I want you to take a look at mobile usage. So in the left-hand column, under users, there's going to be an option for mobile, and then I want you to click on overview. And just take a quick look at this. And what do you notice? And again, I'm comparing this year over year. We've seen percentage change in mobile. Mobile traffic has gone up over 12%. Desktop traffic has dropped almost 13%. Why is this important? Well, it's important because the mobile experience of your website is vastly different, at least it should be, than the desktop experience of your website. You need to pay particular attention to this because if you're not seeing these shifts in numbers, if you're not seeing year-over-year growth in mobile traffic, that's an indicator that your website's probably not up to snuff in mobile and it's probably not ranking well in mobile, okay? Because mobile usage has now passed desktop usage. So if you're not seeing this shift and you're not seeing this historic increase in mobile traffic, you need to do something about it. I also want you to take a really close look at how people are using your site on mobile. And one statistic that I want you to pay particular attention to is bounce rate. So bounce rate is somebody that comes to your website, lands on one page, and then leaves. That's deemed a bounce. If you find that your bounce rate on mobile is much higher than your bounce rate on desktop, that tells you that you have a really bad mobile experience. You need to do something about that. You need to fix your mobile experience so that you maintain more of that traffic from mobile. And in this particular example, what's great here is this bounce rate is actually lower on mobile than it is on desktop. So this tells me this website has a great mobile presence. It's keeping people on the site. It's keeping people engaged. You also want to do this analysis on your job postings in your application. So look at traffic to your job application and look at mobile usage on your job application. If you find that people are exiting your application from mobile devices without completing it, you need a mobile-friendly application. Okay, very important. All right. Under the Acquisition tab in Google Analytics, I want you to take a look at the overview. And this is going to give you a general sense for where traffic is coming from to your site. And we want to see nice, steady climbs. And I want to caution you not to look at just day-to-day or week-to-week statistics. We want to look at longer periods of time. I like to compare months at a time. So this month compared to the previous month, and this month compared to the same time period last year. That's going to give you a real good indication for where you're headed. I also like to look at this quarterly and year over year at the end of the year so that we can really plan and see where we're making inroads and where we're not. And in this case, these statistics look amazing. We've increased year over year search results by almost 130%. Paid search is way up. We're investing a little bit more in that. Social, look at that huge climb in social. The overall numbers aren't huge, but the percentage climb is great. This is telling me that what we're doing on social is working. We're having an impact. We're getting traffic back to our site. Maybe we need to invest a little bit more in that area. Organic search is telling me that the content that we're adding to the site is having a meaningful impact on our overall business and our overall traffic. So take a look at these statistics and really uncover where traffic is coming from. Next, great thing about Google Analytics is you can drill down even further. So we don't have to look at just overall site-wide traffic and where traffic's coming from. We can look at traffic to individual pages. Okay, so why is this important? Well, I mentioned earlier increased competition. And everyone on this call right now is probably having a challenge or a hard time recruiting in some capacity or for different fields. Why is that? Unemployment rates are really low and competition is high. So what we need to do is make sure that the people that are coming to our website, we need to find out where they're coming from so that we can devote more of our recruiting resources to those platforms. So how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to go and find what page your jobs are listed on right now in your website. In this example, it's /job-form. And we're going to look at sources. So we're going to uncover the page. So we're going to go to all pages, and then up in this search bar, I've just typed in jobs so that we could easily find it. And then from there, I want you to use something called a secondary dimension. You're just going to click on this little button here. You're going to type in the word source, and what's going to happen is you're going to find out where candidate traffic is coming from. Okay, and in this case, we're getting a majority of traffic from Google. We're getting a nice chunk of traffic from Indeed, but what's interesting here is that you see that Indeed traffic has declined 11% year over year. Okay, so we need to find out why that is. In this particular case, it's a little lower spend on Indeed, but it's also less organic traffic from Indeed. Okay, Indeed is suppressing a lot of the free listings that they used to present. So overall traffic from Indeed is going down. Why is this important? Because we have to find ways to replace that lost traffic. This used to be the #1 leading source of candidate traffic, and now it's dropped. So what did we do? We invested more marketing resources in candidate-focused content and in search engine optimization to try to attract more candidates to their website so that we could replace that traffic. So take a look at your recruitment sources. You might find some surprising things here, and it might help you adjust your recruitment spend moving forward. Okay, and I mentioned it earlier, but we also want to look at bounce and exit rates on mobile versus desktop. Okay, mobile traffic on the candidate side is high. I would go to your website on a mobile device. I would search for one of your open jobs. I would click the apply button and go through your application process. See how frustrating it is for your candidates. There's probably, and in many cases we find, high abandonment rate on applications from mobile devices because the application is nearly impossible to complete on a smartphone. If that's the case for your company and you have high bounce and exit rates, you need to fix that form. You could throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at driving traffic to your site through job boards, through ads, through PPC, through different recruitment spends, but that might not be the problem. The problem might be that your mobile experience stinks. So throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars out the window isn't going to solve your problem. Analytics can help you identify what the real problem is and help you come up with a real solution that doesn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe it's just a reallocation of what you're currently doing now. So very important. Now, I'm going to pop out of analytics real quick here, but since we're talking about recruiting and since we're talking about applications in your job board, look at other tools and other platforms to get some of this data as well so that you can match this up with Google Analytics. And the example that I'm pulling up here is just the back end of the Haley Marketing Group job board. What's great about this is that we can look at job views by referral, by platform, by device, by source, by recruiter. Some really great detailed data here. And in this particular example, I can look at overall applications that I've got and where those applications came from. And again, by looking at this data, you might find some surprising things, and it might help you adjust your recruitment advertising spend moving forward. Now, if you don't have our job board, follow up with the job board provider that you do have. See what type of analytics are available here, and make sure that those analytics are going to help you make more educated decisions moving forward. Another thing that we love to look at is total views on individual jobs and compare that to applications that we're getting. In some cases, like the inbound customer service rep here, we've got 228 views on this job. We've got 13 applications. Okay, decent conversion rate, not great. Okay, what could we do to drive this conversion rate more? What could we do to get more of those 228 people that viewed this position to actually click apply? Well, do we need to write about how great of an opportunity this is? Do we need to include a pay rate? Do we need to adjust our job description? There's some things that we can do here to drive higher conversion rates. And in this particular case, this processor payoff job, we're getting views, we're getting 0 applications. Why? Okay, and why are our views lower than this one? Maybe we need to rewrite this job title. Okay, maybe the job description stinks. Maybe we don't include pay rate, and we need to include that pay rate to get more people interested in this position. Maybe we need to sell the client company that this job is for. So I would look at all these statistics. Instead of just throwing recruitment dollars at this and driving more traffic, look for ways that you can increase conversions on the recruitment dollars that you're already spending. So these are all important things that you need to look at. All right, popping back over to Google Analytics and kind of getting away from recruiting a little bit is something called goal tracking. And I don't have time to go into in this presentation exactly how to set up goals, and I don't really need to because Google's done an amazing job of coaching you through how to set up those goals. And I've included the link here to Google's support page, but they'll walk you step by step how to set up goals. And goals are important because they allow you to make sure that you're funneling people through your website in the appropriate path. That you're driving more conversions. And this is just an example of a goal that we've set up for one of our clients. And when setting up goals, what I like to do is think about the end result that you want to achieve. Okay, what's the goal of your website? It's probably a few different things. It's probably getting people over to your Contact Us page. Okay, so they can find your phone number, they can complete a form, they can take some type of action to reach out to you. Might be completing an application and getting over to a thank you page, might be submitting a job order and again getting over to a thank you page. But whatever your goal is, think about that end point. What happens at the end of that goal? And in this particular case, one of our marketing goals was to get more people over to the Contact Us page. And one tactic that we were using to do that is writing really good quality blog content and having really super strong calls to actions and buttons throughout the site that link back to that contact page. So by setting up a goal here, we're able to track how many people come into the website, how many people get to a blog post, and from that blog post or from that blog section get over to the Contact Us page. And in this particular case, we drove 311 leads over to the Contact Us page from our blogging efforts. We had a 5% conversion rate. This is important because this tells us that our content marketing efforts are working. It tells us that our calls to action are working well and we're driving nice conversions over to this page. Now, if you set up this goal and these numbers weren't that good, maybe you need to have to change your content strategy. If you're not getting enough people over to the blog, maybe you have to look at ways that you can distribute that and get it in front of more people. Maybe it means that you need to add more search engine optimization into individual blog posts. And then we're going to look at this historically as well to make sure that this number 311 continues to climb month over month, year over year, so that we can meet our business goals. So goal tracking is something that I like. It's not 100%, but it's a good indicator that helps tell you where you're headed and if you're going to hopefully meet your overall business goals. Now, before we hop out of Google Analytics and transition into some other things, one key report that I want you to look at is peaks in traffic. Okay, so go to your overall traffic for the month and review all the spikes in traffic from that past month or that past year. I want you to hover over that spike in Google Analytics. When you hover over that, it's going to tell you exactly what day that spike occurred. And then I want you to go and look in analytics and isolate just that day using the date range and find out where that traffic actually came from. You want to do this because it's going to help you identify marketing and sales tactics that drove results. And in this particular case, I'm going to look at traffic from this day. What did I find? Well, the biggest traffic driver that day was email. Okay, and in this particular case, we sent out a top candidates email. This is for a very small recruitment firm. We sent out a list of and skill marketed some of their top candidates, and it drove some great response. This is important because it tells me that this marketing activity is well worth my effort. And what's great about this, and we'll show some email marketing statistics later, is that I can identify exactly who clicked on my email marketing efforts so that I can follow up on and do more targeted one-to-one sales with them after. So get in the habit of each month going in here and looking at peaks in website traffic and identifying what drove that peak. It's going to help you invest your marketing dollars more strategically moving forward. Okay, and also a great tool is something called campaign tracking. With online marketing, you might be doing ads, you might be doing boosted Google posts, you might be doing banner advertising, you might be doing social marketing. You can use campaign tracking to identify the effectiveness of each of these individual efforts. Again, I'm not going to go into actually setting up these campaigns because Google has a perfect tutorial that walks you through step by step how to do this, and the link is included here. But what you're going to get from this, again, is some very essential information. I'm going to go down the list here. Buffer. This is a social distribution tool that we use. So we send and hook this up to our clients' social accounts. We feed content into Buffer, and it automatically gets published on Facebook pages, Facebook profiles, LinkedIn company pages. It goes to Twitter, goes to all of the different social sources that we want to send this to. And when we do this, we add a campaign URL. Okay, so we add a little appendage to the end of our website, and this tells us that over this week, our social media efforts drove almost 300 leads back to our website. Okay, if this was lower, that would be an indicator that maybe our content wasn't spot on, maybe we're not sharing in the right social platforms, maybe our marketing copy wasn't engaging enough. Facebook paid. This is going to tell us if our spend is effective. So in this particular example, we're driving people back to our client's job board, and we're spending a relatively low amount of money, but in this time period we drove over 230 people back to the website through Facebook paid, and this tells us exactly how many. Apply now. One thing that we did in this particular case was add apply buttons in key places throughout the website. And we've coded those buttons in a way that we know when somebody clicks on that individual button. And that had an increase of 51 people over to the application. CTA in this example is an acronym for call to action buttons. What we do on blog posts to get people from the blog over to key conversion pages is add a really nice graphic at the bottom of that blog post, call to action graphic. And we've coded that in a way that when somebody clicks on that to go over to the job board or go over to the Contact Us page, we know it triggers tracking and analytics. So we can see how effective that is. We've put a job board tab on blog posts. So when somebody's on a candidate focused post, there's a tab that pops up in the sidebar that says, hey, come and check out our top jobs. Okay, we can track all that. We can track the impact that's having on recruiting results. So as you can see, there's some really unique, interesting things you can do with campaign tracking to make sure that your inbound and outbound marketing efforts are fruitful and are driving an impact. And again, we want to look at this historically. We want to see continued growth in each of these areas. If we're not seeing continued growth, or if we're seeing low results, maybe we devote our time, energy, and resources to the platforms that are performing better. And last but not least in Google Analytics, automated email reports. These are going to be your best friend. So on just about every page within Google Analytics, you can set up an email that will automatically be sent to you with details from whatever time period you select. So let's say each month you want a report automatically generated that gives you an overview of your top sources of traffic or your top visited pages, or the total visits to your contact page or job board. You can set that up. Okay, within each page of analytics, there's an email button at the top. You're going to click on that email. You're going to select what email address you want. You're going to select a subject line, and you're going to select the frequency. Now, what I wouldn't suggest is having these reports mailed to you on a daily basis. That's not going to give you a benchmark. It's not going to give you enough data to act on. What I do suggest is setting these up monthly. Okay, set these up monthly so that they're delivered maybe on a Monday or Tuesday of each, the first Monday or Tuesday of each month, and make sure that you select the PDF version. If you select any of these other ones, you're just going to get a huge data dump and it's not going to add any impact. But if you select PDF, it's going to send you a nice report that outlines how effective your marketing efforts were that month. So very useful tool. One caution is that after a year, these reports stop, so you have to go back in and reset it up after a year. But get in the habit of setting these up. It's going to give you a real nice indicator for how your site's performing and allow you to adjust your marketing efforts moving forward. All right, hopefully I didn't inundate you too much with web tracking. Now let's hop over and talk a little bit about social media metrics. And actually, before I do, we did have a great question come in from Susan. She asks, what is the difference between bounce rate and exit rate? So I mentioned earlier, bounce rate is somebody that comes to your website and leaves after visiting only one page. So they come to your site, they see that one page, and then they leave. That's a bounce. Now, an exit rate is the percentage of people that leave from a page. So let's say somebody comes to your website and they get to your homepage and they click on 2 or 3 pages, they click on Contact Us, and then they leave your site. Okay, that's not going to be a bounce because they came to your site and they clicked on a few pages. That is going to be an exit on the contact page. Okay, so those are the two differences. Exit rate is the percentage of people that leave your site from that one page. A bounce is people that only went to one single page in your site. All right, social media metrics. At the top level, what we're going to do is look at how much different social media platforms are driving traffic over to your website. You're going to still do that in Google Analytics. You're going to go under Acquisition, Social, and you're going to see what platforms are most impactful. This is important because it will help you better invest your time and resources on social. We have some clients that come to us and say, you know what, we have this great presence on Pinterest, and we post different job attires, and we really have this great following on Pinterest. And then I'll go in and I'll look at their website statistics, and it looks something like this. They've devoted 10 hours of resources, time, and attention getting a great Pinterest profile, and they got 10 visits. Okay, that cost a whole lot of money for a minimal return. So get in the habit of looking at this so you can identify the social platforms that are driving traffic. Now, I'm not saying that Instagram or Pinterest or other platforms aren't relevant for your audience. What I do suggest you do is test that out and then come into analytics and see if it's having any meaningful impact on your business. Okay? We don't want people just hanging out on social media. We want to get them from social media over to your website where they can take action. Use this to uncover what platforms are really doing that. On Facebook, Facebook offers an amazing set of analytics through Facebook Insights. So you go to your Facebook page. If you're an admin on the page, you can click on Insights. And what I want you to look at is your most recent posts. So review your most recent social media posts on Facebook. Look for large reach and look for large engagement. These are important because Facebook has its own algorithm, and you might have 1,000 people that follow your Facebook page. And right off the bat, when you post something, maybe 300 of those people Facebook will actually show it to. Now, if you don't get a lot of engagement from those people, the next time you post, Facebook might only show it to 200 people. And if you're not getting a lot of engagement there, the next time you post, it might be 100 people, and so on. So if you're posting content that isn't getting likes, comments, shares, clicks, what's going to happen over time is your organic reach is going to decline consistently. So what you need to do is focus on content that gets engagement. And in this particular example, this post got about 31 different engagements. Okay, that's pretty good. So after that, you see my reach expanded a little bit. This one got 1.2 thousand. So it's important to take a look at this and make sure that you're not just bombarding people with post after post or job after job that nobody engages with, because over time it's going to dramatically decrease your reach and your marketing effectiveness. So use this to your advantage and see what people are engaging with and interacting with, and post more of that type of content. Look at the content that isn't getting engagement and maybe scale back on that. Oh, the other thing that you may want to test too is using paid reach on Facebook. So if you use paid reach on a post maybe once a week, what's going to happen is you're going to get in front of a much wider audience. You're going to get more engagements. You're going to drive your organic reach more. And in turn, what that's going to do is help the rest of your posts that you don't use paid reach for reach more people organically, because Facebook's going to show it to more people. So in your marketing mix in some paid promotion and then just some posts that you use only organic reach on. The other thing that I want you to look at in Facebook Insights is pages to watch. So this is a great tool to spy on your competition. So you're going to go in here and you can add pages. I believe you can add up to 5 different companies. So look at your local competitors or national competitors, add them in there. Track their growth, track their engagement. If you click on one of their competitors' names, it's going to pull up their top post from the past week. Get in the habit of looking into this. Okay? Identify what content is getting the most engagement for them, and then see if it makes sense to mix that type of content into your marketing mix as well. Very great competitor info from there. Also, I want you to look at different time of day. So you're going to go to Insights and you're going to click on Posts. This is going to give you some indication for when your audience is most active on Facebook. And in this particular example, audience is most active around 9 to 10 o'clock at night. And if we didn't look at this, we would probably do most of our posting in this, 8 to 9 a.m. area, thinking that, hey, we want to get in front of business professionals as they're getting into the office. Well, if we do that and we solely post during that time, we're missing out on some reach. So test this, compare different times of day, compare reach, compare engagement, and you'll identify some unique trends for your company. All right, so that's Facebook. Let's pop over to Twitter, and Twitter has a really nice analytics platform that not that many people are aware of. You're going to access this by going to analytics.twitter.com. And from there, you can log into your account and you can get a summary for what's happened over the past 28 days. So you can look at how your tweet activity has compared to the previous month. So are we active? Are we getting enough tweets out there? What has our impressions been? Have we gotten in front of more people? Have we gotten more mentions? Have we increased our followers? We can look at top mentions. We can look at some of our top followers. So you might find that you have very influential followers. If you do and you see that, you want to begin to engage with those people on social media. So begin sharing their content, begin commenting on their posts, and in turn you'll find that some of those people will share and comment your content. Okay. If they have a ton of followers, that's a great way to get your message in front of more and more people. So think about maybe companies that already have the ear of the buyer or the candidate that you're trying to reach. Engage with those people, follow them, and you'll see your marketing results will improve over time. But get in the habit of taking a look at this and using this to your advantage. So those are some social metrics we want to look at. Now I want to pop over and talk about search engine optimization and what metrics are most important there. And I bring this up because the one metric that I get clients asking me about all the time is rank for a term like jobs or staffing. Okay, and this can be an indicator of search engine success, but it's really not the metric that you should solely be focused on. So instead of just focusing on trying to rank #1 in Google for a term like jobs in your city or staffing in your city, look at ways that you can rank for a whole host of different things. And the way that you're going to tell that is by going to Google Search Console. So again, this is a little piece of code that needs to be installed on your site. You can connect this with Google Analytics, but use the Google Search Console tool to identify how many different queries you showed up for in the past month. And a query is a search. So somebody goes to Google, types in a search string, click submit, that's a query. Okay. Google Search Console will tell you how many different queries you showed for. It'll show you what people are typing in to Google and show you where your site ranks. And what I suggest doing is paying some close attention to this. And you want to look at overall position, you want to look at total clicks, you want to look at total impressions, and you want to look at your click-through rate. So the click-through rate is really how many times you showed up in search and how many times somebody actually clicked on your listing in search results. And why you want to pay attention to click-through rate is that if you see historically your click-through rate is going down, what's going to happen is Google is going to drop your rank position. So let's say you rank #1 for staffing agencies in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, and month after month, you see this click-through rate continually declining. That's an indicator to you that your search rank's going to drop and your traffic's going to drop because Google wants to serve up results that people are clicking on. Okay, so you want to pay attention to those things. I would also look to identify those keywords or search queries that you rank in that 5 to 20 range. And this Google Search Console will tell you exactly what page in your site you rank for that given search term. And when you rank in that 5 to 20 range, if you can get those pages to that top 5 listing or top 4 listing, you're going to get a huge proportion of that traffic. So this is a great way to identify the search terms that you should really be focusing on in your content and throughout your website. So it'll give you a real good indication for what you want to be optimizing your site around. You can then create a content calendar around those queries and add more value to the end user, rank for a more higher variety of terms, rank higher, and really drive more search results back to your site. I mentioned earlier too, we use a tool called SEMrush. This is a paid tool that we use, but again, there is a limited free version and some free information that you can get from this. But what this is going to do is help you identify your organic search position, so all of the keywords that you rank for. And in this case, we've done a report on Haley Marketing Group. We rank for almost 5,400 different keywords. So we're not keying in on just one specific keyword, but by adding a whole slew of content and blogs and articles to our site, we're ranking for thousands of different terms. So we're getting more traffic. This identifies the current position and traffic volume we get and the percentage of traffic earned. And this is all very important because this helps craft our content strategy and our SEO strategy moving forward. So what we do here is we have a good chunk of terms that we rank in the 1 to 3 spot for. Huge chunk in the 4 to 10 spot. So there's 267 different terms that we rank for in this spot. I can export this list of 267 terms, see which ones really match to our business offering, and then build content around those terms to improve my rank and capture more of that traffic. So this information can be very helpful in planning out a content and a marketing strategy moving forward that's going to garner more search engine traffic. So you export this list, and then we systematically just kind of work through this list to get more top rankings. And when we're doing ongoing SEO services and blogging services for our clients, these are the type of things that we're looking at to help really craft our content strategy moving forward. But it's very important things that you should be looking at too. And then this tool also gives us the opportunity to do competitive review. So we can go in and type in any competitor or any a website that we feel may be taking the traffic that we want to get, and we can look at the keywords they rank for. Then we can systematically go through and create better, more optimized content for those keywords. We can run a comparison of inbound links that they have. So the more sites that link to a specific website, it's a really high indicator of search relevancy and can help you improve your search rank. So we can identify those sites out there that link to your competitors, and then you can systematically work through that list and try to get a link back to your site. We can reach out again to referring domains, build those links, track organic search and paid search traffic, so we can use these tools to see what keywords competitors are buying through Google AdWords. And then you can think about your pay-per-click strategy and really, again, get more strategic and more effective with your marketing spend. With that in mind, let's switch over and kind of wrap up by talking about some paid distribution. So Google AdWords, a great tool for you to use to get in front of people that are searching for the specific services you offer. So some general metrics when running a Google AdWords campaign. You want to look at overall impressions. So how many times is your ad being seen? And I think impressions is very important if you're doing some type of display campaign or you're doing remarketing where your goal really is branding, not necessarily getting people back to your website. And if you have high impressions here, that's great. That's a metric you want to pay attention to. But if you're doing any type of keyword buy where your goal is to get people that are searching for something specific back to your website, then we want to look at actual actions. So clicks on an ad or clicks on ad extensions. So with Google AdWords now, many people are searching on mobile devices. Through Google Ad Extensions, there's a click to call button. Okay, so you can identify what number you want people to call. They can click on that right there, and through their mobile device, call. You want to look at those numbers. You also want to look at ad rank. And why this is important is you want to ensure that your budget is set appropriately so that you're not missing out on opportunities. You also want to look at your quality score so that it isn't pushing ads too low. And let's dig a little bit deeper into kind of that quality score and that click-through rate. Within Google AdWords, there's a Dimensions tab. And what you want to look at is the search terms dimensions report. What this is going to do is identify all the keywords that you're buying in your ad campaign. You want to pay particular attention to CTR here. Again, CTR stands for click-through rate. And the higher your click-through rate percentage is, the higher your ad quality score becomes. Okay, so Google says, hey, if people are clicking on this ad, we are going to serve it up more frequently because people find it relevant, and we're going to make more money because of that. And basically what happens is as you improve your click-through rate, your overall ad costs drop. Okay, because Google wants to show that ad more frequently because people are clicking on it, and you can actually drive your costs down. Now on the flip side, if you have a very low click-through rate here, that means that your per-click cost is costing a lot more. So what you want to do is take a look at this click-through rate and remove underperforming terms or adjust the ad copy so that you drive that click-through rate higher. So very important statistic to look at in terms of pay-per-click marketing. I also, just like in analytics, in Google AdWords, there's a geographic report that you can look at. And I want you to take a close look at this too. Make sure that you're getting traffic from the right geographic markets. What you do want to do is identify the top and bottom performers and then adjust your campaign. And then look at ad copy. If you find that an ad isn't working very well in one specific geographic market, you might have to tweak it. You might have to go back and adjust it, use different terminology, mix in different geographic terms. All right, we're going to pop over to Facebook, and we get questions about Facebook a lot because Facebook is becoming a more effective recruiting tool now, and sometimes an alternative to job boards. So if you're running any type of recruitment advertising or promoted post or anything else like that on Facebook, there's a few things that we want you to look at. We want you to look at overall reach. So are we getting in front of a good chunk of people? We want to look at our paid versus organic reach. Okay. In this particular example, the brighter orange here is our paid reach, and the lighter orange is our organic reach. When we use paid campaigns and more people interact with our content and click, like, and share, that should drive up our organic reach as well. Okay, because when somebody engages with your promoted post, likes it, comments, shares it, all of their friends and connections can see that activity. So what we want to see is that as we get more paid reach, our organic continues to go up too. We want to look at total shares, we want to look at total likes and comments, total applications and conversions. If you find a particular piece of content, let's say you share a blog article or a post, gets a ton of engagement both through paid and through organic, you may want to look at repeating that promotion the next month or the next week and continue to increase those engagements. But Facebook boosts, we found, can be extremely effective, drive a lot of traffic back to your website when set up appropriately, and can help dramatically with your recruiting efforts. Another thing that we've been testing out lately, and a lot of our clients are using, are something called Facebook lead ads. So what's great about Facebook lead ads is that people don't necessarily have to leave the Facebook platform to convert. And what you want to look at here is overall conversions and responses. You want to look at overall reach, the cost, of course the click-through rate, and finally the relevancy score. So just like in Google, Facebook's algorithm looks at all of these metrics to determine whether or not your ads show up in front of more people or not. And what you want to do here is look for ways to continue to drive your relevancy score higher. And you want to identify lower performers and turn those ads off. Like you can see here, the bottom two really weren't performing that well. We had a ton of reach in this particular case, low lead form submissions, a little lower relevancy, so we've turned that campaign off, or that ad off. Again, you want to take a look at these metrics and turn off the underperformers so that you can devote more of your spend to the top performers and you get more conversions. And of course, test. And stepping away from analytics, just briefly, one of the biggest mistakes that we see with digital advertising, whether it's Google spend, Bing spend, Facebook, whatever platform you're using, is that you're taking people to a page that can't convert. single biggest mistake we see is people spending a ton on Google AdWords, and all they're doing is driving traffic back to your homepage. I caution you about that. Look at the bounce rate of those people that are getting to the site through Google Ads if you're taking them to your homepage. I can almost guarantee that bounce rate's probably over 80%. You're throwing money out the window. Instead, take them to an individual page where they can convert. A landing page, a short form, a very short application. Look at that spend, look at how many people are bouncing or exiting without converting, and adjust the page that you're taking people to. Key metrics to look at. All right, to wrap things up real quickly, only 2 slides on email marketing. Many people today say, oh boy, people are inundated with marketing and email marketing doesn't work. I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. Email marketing does work, and it is one of the lowest cost marketing efforts that you can use. Okay, so if you're not doing any type of email marketing and you're relying on all other channels, I suggest that you incorporate this into your marketing mix. What you do want to look at, 2 of the biggest marketing metrics are open rates and click rates. So open is somebody that actually gets your newsletter and opens it. Click rate is somebody that engages and interacts with the content in that newsletter and clicks on a link in there. Those are top level metrics. So we want to see high open rates. We want to see high click-through rates. Okay. But we want to dig deeper. We want to look into actually who engaged, and we want to incorporate that into our sales follow-up process. So the screenshots that you're looking at here came from our proprietary system here called HailEmail. But basically, when we send out an email newsletter, we can see the total number of people that viewed it. We can see our view percentages. View percentages usually for the staffing industry range in the 8 to 12% range. Clicks usually are in the, depends on what the content is, but in the 4 to 6% range, and it can vary, but those are just general rates. But what we want to do is dig a little bit deeper. We want to find out exactly who clicked on that content. I shared that example earlier of using a top candidates mailing, and people clicked on those top candidates when we were skill marketing people. If you're doing that type of email marketing, okay, you can code each link and you can tell exactly what your clients or prospects are clicking on. So if you're featuring an executive assistant in skill marketing and you saw they clicked on that, they obviously are looking to hire an executive assistant. Your salespeople should be picking up the phone and calling them. Use this data to your advantage so that you, again, sell smarter, not harder. If you're not using these reports, if you're not using this data, you're leaving a lot on the table. Okay, and then what I also suggest you do is look back at Google Analytics and see what impact email marketing had on overall website traffic. And I showed this screenshot earlier, but in this case, this email went out and we got 49 leads right away back to our website. This tells me that email marketing is effective, it is working. What other type of marketing is getting a 12% response rate? Okay, yeah, we're all inundated with email, but it works. Okay, make sure it's part of your marketing mix. With that said, that brings us to the end of today's presentation, and we did have some great questions come through. So I know we're just about at the 1 hour mark, but I'm going to stay on and answer as many analytics questions as you can throw at me. But if you do have specific questions, feel free to reach out to us here too. And before I get into answering some of these questions, I wanted to remind everyone that next week on Tuesday, we have a product demo webinar that's going to outline our Social Pro services. And our Social Pro service is really your outsourced social media marketing solution. And we'll walk through everything that our clients get who are using that service. And it's an absolutely great service. We have a ton of clients using it, and it mixes in a lot of the metrics that we walked through in today's presentation. So if you haven't signed up yet, go to lunchwithhaley.com, sign up for that product demo, about a half an hour on Tuesday, and I think you'll find that the service is really beneficial and can drive some great results for your staffing company. All right, so I'm going to start answering some questions here that have come in throughout the presentation and a few that came in through Twitter. But if you do have a question, make sure you use that question panel in the right-hand column, and we'll make sure that we answer that. All right, question came in from Samuel. Currently looking into both Sprout Social and Hootsuite to help find more curated and valuable content as well as automate postings. What would you recommend? I've used both of these tools. I really like Sprout Social. I think it's a really interesting platform that you can use. Might be a little overkill. There are some other solutions too if you don't want to spend that money looking at it. One that I really like is called BuzzSumo, BuzzSumo, buzzsumo.com. And what this is going to do is allow you to type in a keyword, and it's going to give you a list of the top content that's getting the most social engagement that's related to that keyword. So both a free and paid version, but I like that too. But I don't think you can go wrong with BuzzSumo. Hootsuite is good as well. All right, another question. We would also be using this as one of our primary sources for analytics. We currently use social media platform-specific analytics, and we'll be looking into Google Analytics following this webinar. Yeah, I definitely suggest, Samuel, that you install Google Analytics. It's going to give you even more insight to what's happening. The challenge with just using these social platforms like Sprout Social or Hootsuite or Facebook Insights or Twitter is that if you don't have Google Analytics installed on your site, you're only going to get the metrics, the social metrics. So you're only going to see what's happening on those social platforms. And that's great. You know, those metrics, if you're getting more impressions, getting more visibility on those social sites, that can lead to more business and more conversions, but unless you connect the dots, you don't know. So if you don't have any type of web analytics installed on your site, you're only going to get half of the picture. So you really want to use those 2 or 3 or more analytics platforms together. We don't want just great impressions and great visibility on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. We want to get that traffic over to our website where they can convert. So if people aren't making that leap, you can have all the visibility, all the impressions in the world over there, but it's like just putting a billboard out. Is it really driving any business? We don't know. With analytics and looking at that, we can see that traffic coming from Facebook is then going on to our candidates page, and from there they're going on to our job board, and from there they're completing an application. Okay, that's close to the revenue right there. If they're completing an application, that's driving ROI. If we just look at pure visibility standpoint, we don't know if they're completing an application. So use the two hand in hand. All right. Comment came in too. This is the first time that we are simulcasting our Lunch with Haley on Facebook. So on our Facebook page, we've been streaming this presentation live, and we're testing it out for the first time. We're obviously going to be looking at tools and metrics, but in the future, if it seems to be fruitful and valuable, that might be another opportunity for you to engage with Haley Marketing and engage with Lunch with Haley's moving forward. Another great question came in from Andrea. How do we see emails as referral source in Google Analytics? Ours seems to be linked with direct. Thoughts? Great question. In Google Analytics, under your sources, if Google can't tell where that traffic is coming from, oftentimes it will be mistracked as direct traffic. Google doesn't have a place to put that traffic, so it's putting it in direct. And direct traffic is when somebody goes to their web browser and types in www.yourcompany.com and goes there directly. Now, not many people are doing that. Typically, what's happening is they're getting to your site through search, or they're getting to your site through social or through email or some other platform. If Google can't really identify where that traffic is coming from, it's going to track it there. Now, I mentioned earlier that, and I'll try to find the slide here, that you can set up campaigns in Google Analytics. And I encourage you to set up that campaign tracking. So again, here is the direct URL to set up that campaign tracking. And what campaign tracking allows you to do is take a specific URL. So let's say you're using email marketing to send out your most recent blog posts. And if you're not, I think you definitely should, because it's going to add a ton of value for you. So you're creating an email newsletter out of content that exists on your website, and you're providing a summary in that email newsletter, and you're linking back to your website. Instead of just using that blog link as is, if you set it up through campaign tracking, it's going to append that link with some unique tracking, and you're going to use that as the link in your email marketing. And when somebody clicks on that, then it's going to show up here, and you can code it to show up in analytics to say anything you want. So under campaign, you might name the campaign July 2017 email newsletter. Okay, and it's going to track that traffic here under campaigns. You're going to see exactly what impact that had. So really nice, effective tool, really simple way to see what impact your email marketing campaign is having. And then not a comment, but just a or not a question, but just a comment from Melissa. Great wealth of information. Thank you. Melissa, thank you for joining us, and thank everybody else for joining us too. I hope you got some great takeaways here. This session is being recorded. The slide deck is available at lunchwithhaley.com. We'll post the recording in a few days. So hopefully this was fruitful. Hopefully it'll help you invest your marketing dollars more strategically moving forward, and hopefully we're able to save you a little bit of money in your recruitment spend, because I think there's some things that you can do to really make that recruitment spend drive more ROI for your company. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at info@haleymarketing.com. Visit our website. We have a whole slew of resources there, and be sure to sign up for our demo on Tuesday, where we're going to outline our Social Pro service. Thank you all again, and we'll see you on our next Lunch with Haley.